Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. I didn't expect too many people. It's time for a beer. Anyway, so my name is Firek, and I'm working for a small consultancy company in London. It's named Cogurance. So what I was doing during the last 1 year, it was something connected with the infrastructure in the Amazon. So what I want to show you today, I just want to show you the tool which is named Terraform. So the survey will be very short. Who is using some cloud solutions here? Great. How do you use it? What do you do? Do you provision infrastructure or use some different types of clouds? Do you use Amazon? Private clouds? Okay. How do you use your cloud? Anyway, no, just 2 people. That's fine. So, as probably you know, we have different types of cloud solutions, right? So in most cases, we have some infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, right? What I'm going to focus today is actually infrastructure as a service. So you can also have different providers for this, right? So if Amazon, you have Cloud Foundry, for example, if you have platform as a service. You have Google Cloud Platform, which they have some mixed solutions for different. So we are going to focus on infrastructure as a service, because this tool, which I want to present to you, is actually in this area. If you want to provision for you completely new infrastructure in any cloud solution, you can use this tool. And I will focus on Amazon. I will show you some examples in Amazon, because this is what I was doing during last year, right? And 30% of people cannot be wrong. So this is one of the most popular cloud solutions. So when you start doing something in Amazon, so what do you have to do? You have to go to the console, right? You have to just log in, you have to do something, you can click, you can do whatever you want. It's very simple when you have some kind of simple situation when you just play with this cloud solution, right? So you just want to create some instance and you just want to see how does it work. It's very good and very convenient, right? But imagine a situation when you have something more complex, right? So you want to create some production environment for you, and this production environment is contains VPC, some subnets, all networks, all things which are necessary to run your private cloud. So you can do this, once again, in the console, right? But it's very, very painful. Very painful because you have to click multiple pages, you have to go through these old stages, you have to remember about something, and when you forget, the whole VPC doesn't work, right? So you have to go back to the console and again do something again. And after 100 clicks, right, you just sit down and you're saying, yeah, I created this production environment. And you have some friend, and this friend saying, I need some dev environment. And you're saying, damn it, I have to click once again everything. I'm going to do this faster, right, probably, but I'm still, I made a mistake, I didn't put something, and I have to create everything once again. And after some time, you have another friend from your team, and it just comes, I want to change one small thing. And you just try to think, when actually this part exists, right? Oh, I have to click on this page. Oh, no, it's not this page, so I have to go to another one. And I'm just start clicking 100 times just to change one small thing. So, what do you think? Let's automate this, right? This is the first thing which you have. So you write some simple bash script, right? So you use some API which is provided automatically by Amazon. So you're just doing some bash, another bash in bash, you include another bash in bash, and you finish with some huge bash script which you don't understand anymore. Right? You know that. So, what do? You're doing some Ansible, right? Yeah, that's right, yeah. But this is actually bash in disguise. So this is just some kind of like cover on top of bash, which is doing something for you, and you don't understand. Magic, right? When I want to install something on the machine, I'm just asking, Ansible, do it for me, right? But I don't know what's actually happening. So sometimes you go to the bash script, and you include your bash script in the Ansible to do some non-magical things. So what other option is we can use CloudFormation. What is CloudFormation? CloudFormation is the service which is available in the Amazon. And this CloudFormation just gives you possibility to create some JSON file which describe your infrastructure. There's a problem with this tool. I always try to fit some example of this JSON file in my slide, right? It's impossible. It looks like XML. It's ugly. So this is the first step. You have to go through this all documentation in the cloud, of the CloudFormation just to understand how does it work. And next, you don't have any control over this, because CloudFormation doing everything for you. So if you want to change something in your infrastructure, you have to change JSON file, apply again. CloudFormation do some magic again for you. And this magic will be done in the similar way as you have in the Ansible, because you have to include some other JSON file, another JSON file is going to include, and so on, so on, so on. So the CloudFormation is not the best tool for you, maybe. So what I'm just describing now, actually this is the way we discovered another tool, which is provided by HashiCorp. It's a Terraform. What they've noticed that actually they have struggled to provide some environments very fast for the other tools which they are doing. By the way, they have a nice set of tools, including Vagrant and Packer, if you know, maybe. So the Terraform just said, I just want to declare infrastructure. I don't want to have some complex JSON files which have some dependencies. I just want to use API, which is provided by the cloud providers, and just wrap in some kind of nice code. So they discovered some language which is named HCL. It's like JSON, but it's not JSON. And they use these files to actually declare this environment. So when you declare, you have implementation of another idea, which is infrastructure as a code. So what you can do, you can keep these files in some GitHub and execute multiple times. So what you can do, you can change the existing state, only in the small part. And I'm going to show you that. OK. So what we have to create for Terraform, we have to say first how we want to connect to our cloud. By the way, can you see that? OK. So what we have to say, we have to create the file. Which is saying, I want to use this provider. I want to use Amazon, right? So what I'm saying now, I just want to use profile. It's the Amazon profile, so we don't provide anything unusual. You just install one file with your secret and access key, and this is going to be used. So you don't have to store your secrets in the GitHub. Do you store your secrets in GitHub? Don't do it. So you store your credentials on your local machine, and Terraform automatically uses this to connect to the Amazon. So we can also define a region. And let's make our first example a little bit simpler. So I want to create Amazon instance. If you're familiar with the Amazon console, you already have these all options which you can see on the screen. You already have these all options in the console. This is actually translation of the API which is available in Amazon into some kind of simple declaration of the resource. So this is the resource, right? This is something which we want to create, destroy, change. So what we are saying when we describe resource, we have some name of the resource. If you are familiar with the Amazon, we just define the image which we want to use, which availability zone, type of the instance, which key we want to use to connect to this instance. So everything is available, but now everything is in one place. So now, if you want to declare this, you just commit to the GitHub, and it's available for whole your team. So the whole your team is responsible for your infrastructure. And I just add some tags just to recognize this. And this is the simplest possible example of provisioning in Terraform. You don't need anything else except downloading Terraform, which is written in Go, and you can run in any platform. And that's good enough to run. So let's connect. So I already installed my Terraform on my machine. So it's not the latest version, but that's it. You don't have to do it. You just run from your binary. So next, what we can do, we can say, Terraform, do not create yet everything for me. Just tell me what you want to create, or what you want to do, actually. So when we run plan, Terraform creates a completely new file. And this file contains information what we actually want to do. So when we have this information, it's saying it doesn't exist yet, so I have to add. I'll show you the other options which you can see. So you see, we have some state file. State file is just saying it's empty. This is a very important thing. So we have two things. We have declaration of our infrastructure. We have a state file which describes what actually we have in our, what we've done so far in our infrastructure. And we have a plan. You can save your plan. You can execute the plan this later, but I don't have enough time to show everything. So as you can see, I just run plan. I didn't create anything. So now, let's ask for apply. Oh, sorry. This was the plan. And let's apply this plan. So now, Terraform is trying to connect to the Amazon and creates for me some instance. And that's it. Done. No clicks, one file. So the new version of Terraform is just waiting until everything will be created. This takes some time, but actually we can see in the console that the instance was created. No more clicks, no more tabs, no go back, forward and back. Still initializing, right? Done. This is a very simple example. When you want to play, you can still have your code which creates your environment for your tests, for your playground. So if you're saying that you want to have more instances, for example, so you can just say, I want to have 3 instances, right? So now we can just give some special tag even for that. So I don't have to give some names. So I can just say count index, and this will give it the proper name for each instance. So the instance is still initializing, but we can just run some plan. So as you can see, we have 2 new instances, but one of the instances is changing the tag. So whenever you change something, depends on the available functions in the API, they just do update, adding, or replacing. Sometimes if you change, for example, Amazon image, you cannot just simply change the image. You have to destroy instance and recreate. And Terraform take care about this. You don't have to think about it. You can take a look if this is something which is desired by you, but if it's not, you can just say, no, don't execute this plan, right? So I will apply this plan to show you that actually this is working. Once again, I connected, and everything is created, right? Just one small change in the file, and you have 2 new instances with the same pattern, which is described in the Terraform file. Let's refresh. So you can see we have different names, and it was created. Should be one more. Yeah, here it is. OK, so we think that we don't need this environment anymore. We just play with something, we finish. Oh, by the way, I can show you that I can connect. Let's take some machine. 0, I think, is the most. So we have some static IP. And I own this machine. Everything was created, right?
How do I get that IP from Terraform?
Sorry?
How do I get that IP from Terraform? Using Terraform.
Mm-hmm. How do you get?
How do I get that IP of the instance that was just formed?
IP?
Yeah.
You can create some output. This output actually can be generated to your standard out or to the file. So you can just grab this information by just taking the right information from the instance. So the output using, because each resource is actually the object in the in Go language. So if you have this object, they just provide you some properties which you can set in the file, Terraform file, but you also have something which was created by the other side. So if you have response from the Amazon, for example, the static IP, the dynamic local IP, everything which is provided for your instance, they just grab this and set in your Terraform, so you can just create output.
And the response from the API call does not contain the information I'm interested in?
I will show you at the end, if I find some time, how I'm combine Terraform with Ansible. OK, so we are inside. So after some time, I just decide to destroy environment. Imagine that you have to create dev environment every time when you just want to test something and you want to destroy. Imagine that you have to click all these things again. So instead of that, you just ask Terraform to destroy. And Terraform is asking once again, are you sure? Yes, we are sure. And now we're destroying. So every resource is stored in the state file, and the state file already know what actually should be destroyed. So I don't have to care about, oh, this instance actually is used by someone else. I know what actually was created by Terraform, and I know what I'm destroying. Let's see if this is destroyed. Shutting down, right? So now let's take a look at some more sophisticated example. So once again, we have to give information what kind of provider we want to use. And we have to wait a little bit. So what we want to do now, we want to create virtual private cloud. Do you know what is virtual private cloud? Okay, so this is some kind of separate cloud which contains all definition of networking, security groups, which is completely independent from your default VPC, which you always have when you create your account. If you create your instance, when you have your completely new account, you always create instance in the default virtual private cloud. This is the way Amazon isolates your instances in the cloud. So each instance must exist in virtual private cloud. So virtual private cloud needs a lot more clicking than 100 clicks. So you have to be aware that if you want to create this manually, this will take around 1 hour when you go through the whole documentation of the VPC and take a look what actually is required to create the virtual private cloud. So once again, we can use Terraform just to describe what we want to create instead of just clicking and finding something in the documentation. So what we have to do, we just have to say, I want to create a completely new VPC. So this is another type of resource which is available in Terraform. If you want to create some other resources, like Internet Gateway, which is required to define connection between the virtual private cloud and the Internet, you have another resource for that. So these resources are available also in your console, in your standard API. So if you write your bash script, probably you already know how does it work. So, and if you want to create complete VPC, you have to, oh, sorry. So you have to define, for example, subnets, right? So if you want to define subnets, you need something additional. You need to know in which VPC you want to create the subnet. So you don't have to find anything in the console because you already have this in the variables which are provided by the Terraform. So you're saying, I want to use VPC resource with such a name, and I want to take this ID, which will be created by Terraform, and I just want to use it. So this kind of usage of variables creates some kind of dependencies. So Terraform creates behind some graph of dependencies and saying, I don't have ID, right? How can I get this ID? I have to create first VPC. And this is the steps which you have to do in the console also. If you want to create subnet for a specific VPC, you have to create VPC first. So Terraform trying to find out, based on your files, what is the right order of creation of each resource. So you don't have to put files, or you don't have to put resources in the file in the right order, like you have in Ansible probably, right? Because in Ansible, you execute from top to down. Here, actually, it's not so important. It's more important what kind of dependencies between the resources you have. So for subnet, we still have to define root tables. So once again, we have some another resources, and we just give some meaningful name just for us, what kind of resource it is. In my case, this is my test. So I'm using another resource just to say, I want to pass through the root in my root tables all traffic to the internet from this internet gateway, right? And I associate this root table with my subnet. This is all you can see in this file is written in the documentation of the Amazon. But it's extremely hard to find out from the first time, if you don't have any experience, what actually is the right order of the steps. In Terraform, you don't have to worry about this. So you also have to create security groups when you define what kind of ports you open. This is the usual step, but you can just define more groups. And you can just provide some NIT instance, which is also required if you want to connect from your machine to the internet. And that's it. It looks quite complex, right? If you want to click through the console, you have to click, for each file, you have to click on different page. And you have to know what actually you were doing in the previous step, because you have to know ID of the VPC, ID of the subnet. Here, you don't have to worry about this, right? So let's create simple VPC. Once again, let's call the plan. Plan is more sophisticated, right? Because we have more resources, but you can see that everything which we define in the files, you can see on the plan. So let's apply. This will take a little bit longer. But when we go to the console, you can see that we have probably additional VPC. So this is the default VPC. It's always created. You cannot delete this. It's always available. I think you can delete, sorry. But we have completely new VPC, right? We use my test VPC, and it was already created. Right? 5 minutes, and you will get completely new environment for your dev friends from your team.
5 minutes, how long does it write all those files?
Yesterday? No, yesterday. 1 week ago, 10 minutes.
All those files?
Yes.
So are those files in Terraform provided in a template that you just have to fill it out, or you have to get to know all
If you use, the question is if you have some editor. So if you use in IntelliJ, you have some plugin for HCL, and it's automatically have some all support for all fields. If you want to use them, you can just press Control Space, and it's saying what kind of options do you have. Uh-huh. That's true. Yeah, you still have to read documentation. It doesn't. I'm not providing the Ansible which saying create VPC for me. No. Yes. That's right. You're doing this once, and if you understand what you are doing next, oh, I missed some change, and I just want to change one option, just doing and go file. This is actually, as I said, this is the implementation of the idea of infrastructure as a code, and this is more useful than you just going to console. Actually, in my no. No, you have to understand how Amazon works. Because Terraform provides also resources for other providers, Google, DigitalOcean, and a few other smaller ones. You can check on the website, but I'm not sure. You can write your own. This is another thing, because Terraform provides the possibility to write your own modules. So what you can do, you can just create some, I think in the Golang, you can create some kind of modules which are actually doing something for you. So you can communicate with the API. What actually I've seen on one of the meetup, some guys created something for VMware Cloud, because it's completely different. Yes? Okay, so they already have something. I don't know if this is open source, but this was created for some company in London, I think. They just created because they wanted to use Terraform. So they created their own modules. On the website, on the documentation, you can find also how does it work.
How about OpenStack?
I think OpenStack is available. Done. So the whole VPC was created. And we have some instance from VPC, right? So everything was quite similar, but you have more resources. You have to manage somehow this and so on. How much time do we have? 0? Okay. So one final word. So I'm using Terraform only for provisioning the infrastructure, nothing else. So when I provision my instance, next I'm using Ansible, because Ansible is actually designed to connect to the machines and do something with the software. This is the main thing which you have to do with the Ansible. You can find some modules which actually give you the possibility to do the same thing, which you can do in Terraform, in the Ansible. But I'm not fully convinced to this idea, because this is a completely different approach, right? You connect to the API instead of SSHing. I try to keep some kind of separation between the Ansible and Terraform. Okay. Questions? More?
So do I get it right that that's funny file format is actually a way of expressing REST calls, probably using some schema, some JSON schema, or something like that?
I think that before they were using some Boto implementation from Python. So you had to install something. They changed that and they're using the REST. But it doesn't have to be in such a way. I'm not sure if for Amazon, but for other providers, they use some CLI. So they just call something from your command line. Instead of just doing it yourself, they just provide the whole CLI and just execute something. So you have to install something. You have to check documentation of each module, because each module is written by the communities, and they have some different approach. They just accept, because they don't have enough resources to write everything, they accept some changes.
So it could be that for another provider, I would have to type some kind of command line commands.
No, not like that. So the module itself will implement CLI call to your tool, which you have to install before.
Okay.
So it was in the versions 5 something it was required, but now it's not required. You have to check documentation for each provider.
So the TF file would still look like kind of a data structure, right?
Yes. So they're trying to keep this as a declaration. They're like declare some kind of class of resource, and you're just saying what you want to do. And execution is like in functional programming, right? You're just telling what you want to do. Any other questions? Yeah?
Is there some kind of package manager like Ansible Galaxy, so I have some common cases to define, so I don't have to write every time?
No, most of the providers are already implemented and inside the Terraform. You don't have to install anything else. So you always have available resources for every kind of type.
I know, but this is some kind of boilerplate that you show for VPC. Is there some kind of templates I can use to just for common cases?
No, I think the Terraform is not only for Amazon. So this is the reason why you have they try to copy actually what is available in API. They don't want to provide another level of abstraction on top of existing APIs. So they just want to make some kind of easier to keep infrastructure as a code between different providers. You still have the same description. You can understand it easily because you already know HCL, so you don't have to worry about the other things. Yes, you can find. You can find modules in the GitHub which actually give you the possibility to support something unusual. I think in 90% cases you will find everything in Terraform itself. You also have to be aware that sometimes they don't implement everything when something appears in the cloud immediately. So you have to be also aware of such things. But you can find. Probably, but I didn't check that. So what you can do, you can just find some GitHub module implemented in the GitHub and just download to your machine and just use it. It's quite simple. Okay, thank you very much.